Hey guys, in this video I want to discuss error handling in JavaScript, and for the most part what a try-catch block is. So a try block lets us do something, lets us write some bit of code and test for errors, and the catch block lets us handle those errors if there are any. Okay, we can also throw our own errors. So let's go ahead and dive into this, and let's go ahead and say try, and then after that we'll say catch. And then this is going to take in an error object, okay? Sometimes you'll see E, sometimes you'll see ERR or error. I like to use E in this case. And then let's just put something in here that will fail. All right, so let's say my function. All right, so we're calling my function. Now, why will this fail? Because there is no declared my function. It's actually going to be a reference error. Okay, there's different types of errors in JavaScript. This will produce a reference error. Actually, that should be capital, so reference error. All right, and then down here, we can decide what we want to do when this fails. So what I'm going to do is just console.log, and I'm going to console.log E to see what that gives us. All right, so very simple code. Let's go ahead and save this and run it, and we get a reference error down here that says my function is not defined. All right, now what's really nice about try catch is that we can handle errors without stopping the entire script. So down here I'm going to say console log, and I'm just going to say program continues. Okay, and save, and you can see that, you know, we get the error, we catch it, we do something with it, which in our case is just console logging it, and then we continue. Now if I were to take this my function and just go like that and save, we just get this nasty error down here in red, and the script doesn't continue. We don't get our console log. All right, so try catch is a very elegant way of handling errors. Now if you wanted to just get the message my function is not defined and not get this the name reference error, you could do, let's just go ahead and copy this down, you could do e.message, and we'll comment this out and save, and now you see we just get my function is not defined. So if you didn't want to just log this, you could, if you for some reason if you wanted to output it to the browser into the DOM, you could do that. You could do whatever you want with it. All right, now if you wanted to just get the type, or actually it's called the name, which is the type of error, you could do e.name and save, and you'll see that it'll give you reference error. Okay, you can also test to see what kind of error it is. So if we were to say console.log, and inside here we'll say E, and we can use instance of, okay, we can use the instance of operator and say, no, reference error. Okay, and we'll save, and you can see we get true. Now if we were to test and see if it was a type error, which is a different kind of error, we get false. All right, so you can test to see that, but I'm just going to go ahead and comment those out and leave just the E. Now there is a third piece you could put onto this block, and that's finally, and all this does, very simple, it just runs no matter what the result of anything up here is, this will still run. So we'll say console log, and we'll just say finally runs regardless of result, and save, and you can see that that's going to run no matter what happens up here. All right, now if we wanted to produce a different type of error, so let's say produce a type error. So what we could do here is take null, and we could try to call something from it, like my function. All right, we can't call something from null. This is going to cause a type error. So let's save it and run it, and you can see this cannot read, our type error cannot read property my function of null. Okay, and you could make this, you know, this part, this right here, whatever you want. You don't even have to use the E. You could say console log, and you could say it's null stupid, and that's what that's what it'll show you down here. All right, so you can format these errors however you want, and if you wanted to, let's go back there. You could actually, let's put in some backticks here, and you could put e.name like that and save and get type error. It's null stupid. So you can format these however the hell you want. All right, so let's see, what other types of errors can we do here? Let's do a syntax error. All right, so we'll say will produce syntax error. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use the eval function, which isn't used too much, but this will evaluate JavaScript within a string. So for instance, we could say 2 plus 2. We'd actually have to console log it for it to work, or for it to show us anything. So you can see we get 4, so we can evaluate JavaScript. Now if we were to do eval and say hello, which is going to be these are going to be looked at as variables. If we were to put in here quotes like that, then we're evaluating it as a string, and that doesn't throw an error. But if we were to get rid of these double quotes and save that, you can see that throws a syntax error, unexpected identifier. So it's talking about this hello. It's looking at it as a variable. All right, so that throws a syntax error. Let's see, another type of error we have is a URI error. Let's see, URI error, and we could use a function called decode URI component and then pass in something that doesn't make sense. We're just going to pass in a % and save, and we're going to get an error that says URI error, URI malformed at decoded in component. All right, so just trying to show you the different types of errors that can be thrown. All right, so now that you've seen basically just global errors or core errors being thrown, I want to show you that we can create our own. So let's say up here we have a variable called user, and let's say there's email. We'll say jdoe@gmail.com. So let's say we want to check to make sure that this user has a name, which it doesn't. It just has an email. So what we could do is go down here and we could say if no user.name, then let's throw an error. So all we have to do is use the throw keyword, and then we'll say user has no name. So let's save that, and we get down here, user has no name. Okay, and you could put that inside the DOM if you wanted to as well, and some kind of an alert. Now another thing you could do, this is just throwing the string, but you could actually format it as a certain type of error, like a syntax error. So to do that, we could say throw new syntax error, and say user has no name, and save. And now you can see we get syntax error, user has no name, and it also gives us the line number, the file name and the line number. And again, you could format this how you want. You could do something like you could say console.log. And you can make up your own type. You could say like user error, and then just put in here e.message and save, and we get user error, user has no name. All right, so it gives you a nice elegant way to handle errors in JavaScript. Also shows you the different types of errors that there are. All right, so that's it, and I will see you in the next lecture.